years go by. We're only heading into year 3 of this thing. And, we've seen massive hikes already before this one. And now comes another one. Many are proposing double-digit premium increases for individual policies, with some companies looking to boost rates more than 60%, according to a list posted Monday by the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. In Florida, for instance, United Healthcare wants to raise the rates of plans sold on the Obamacare exchange by an average of 18%. Now, the exchanges are not cheap already. They're not cheap. And well, yeah, Rod, but some people get subsidies. Well, that's a bunch of BS, too, because the taxpayer is still picking up the rest of the tab. Individual policies available outside the exchange, though, through United Healthcare or through a broker would go up by 31% on average, with hikes as high as 60% for certain plans in certain locations. In Texas, insurer Scott & White is looking for a 32% increase for exchange-based plans, while Humana is asking for a 30% boost for its exclusive provider organization policies, which generally cover only in-network services. Now, insurers say they want to hike rates because enrollees are going to the doctor. Get this part. Insurers say they want to hike rates because enrollees are going to the doctor, getting lab work, and filling prescriptions more than they had originally anticipated. I told you that was also going to happen. But no, nobody bothers listening to all the conservative pundits who are calling it as we saw it, and we called it accurately, by the way. But no, we were all just, selfish, loathing, American loathing, poor people hating, non-caring, profiteering kinds of Republican trash is what we were called. Basically. But the truth is that we were none of those things, but we were seeking the truth, and we knew what the truth was going to be, and we knew the truth was going to be this. And people are going to wonder, well, hey, I don't, if I'm going to be covered by this government program, I'm going to go to a doctor. Because it's free. But it ain't free. Now, we've seen a great pent-up demand for services, says Aaron Bilger, spokesman for Highmark, a Blue Cross Blue Shield licensee offering plans in Pennsylvania, Delaware, and West Virginia. Enrollees in Obamacare exchange plans use more health care than those in job-based policies, he noted. Oh, really? Really? Yeah, see what I did there? That was... You should know the movie that's from. If you don't, watch a few Jim Carrey movies. But basically, let me read that statement again. This is from money.cnn.com. We've seen a great pent-up demand for services, said Aaron Bilger, spokesman for Highmark, a Blue Cross Blue Shield licensee offering plans in Pennsylvania, Delaware, and West Virginia. Enrollees, he says, in Obamacare exchange plans. Enrollees in Obamacare exchange plans. Enrollees in Obamacare exchange plans use more health care services than those in job-based policies. I also told you way back then in 2009, 2010 that people were going to abuse the system. That they were going to go to the doctor. If they didn't have to pay out of their pocket, which is the whole point of Obamacare in the first place, then they were going to go to the doctor when they really didn't need to. This wasn't going to cut back on emergency room visits. This wasn't going to cut back on unnecessary doctor visits. This wasn't going to cut back on all of these unnecessary procedures and tests. In fact, it's only increased, and it increased exactly the way I said it was going to increase and why it was going to increase. And now here we've got the proof. All that stuff is increasing. And who's increasing it? The people who I said were going to increase it in the first place. And bingo, bango, bongo, and Irving. I was right yet again. And for those of you who do not believe me, maybe you should spend some time in my archives over on Blog Talk Radio, going all the way back to 2009. They're over there, folks. You can listen to the shows. And you will hear me rant and rave and rave about Obamacare and how we don't want it, don't need it, and when we got it, how I was ranting and raving that we need to get rid of it. And that it wasn't going to be cheaper. It was going to end up costing us more. It wasn't going to be as cheap as people thought. It wasn't going to be as free as people thought. And people were not going to get the same kind of care that they thought. And certain people were going to start using the system even more than they are now. And the cost is going to rise. And lo and behold, it's as if I was given divine guidance. Because everything I've said about Obamacare is coming to pass. Everything, and unless you think that I am some sort of special prophet, I am not. I am just a thinking man. I think logically. And just about every constitutional loving conservative pundit out there was saying the exact same thing. So it's not as if I was on the fringe. I was in pretty good company. They all told us that this was going to be a disaster. It was going to be, more expensive than we think, than they planned, than they budgeted for. That it wasn't going to lower the cost. It was going to increase the cost because people are going to end up using the system even more than they are now. And all of that has happened. All of that has come to pass, as it were. Now, insurers submitted their proposed rate hikes for individual policies sold both on and off Obamacare exchanges for review by state officials. Now, the government's list includes insurers that requested increases of 10% or more. So, If insurance can opt to offer plans, insurers can opt to offer plans on the exchanges directly or via both methods, but policies with similar coverage must be priced the same. So rates for Obamacare plans have been watched closely, of course, and their affordability hotly debated since the exchanges first opened in 2014. I don't know how it's debated. Either they're affordable or they're not. Insurance had a tough time setting rates in the first 2 years because they didn't have a lot of data on how much customers would visit the doctor. Now they can base their prices on actual usage. Some insurers may have underestimated and set their prices way too low in 2014 and in 2015, but they're trying to make up for the cost differential now. Because, they don't want to be stuck with the bill all the time. Paying out of pocket. In a way, I think they're trying to reverse this trend by saying, well, this is what it really cost. Because a lot of insurance companies, jumped on board of this single payer Obamacare thing. They kind of liked it. They thought it was going to be the way to go. And that they would save themselves and their industry, that if they went along with Obama, not fully paying attention to the notion and the fact that Obama was trying to raise and destroy their industry so he could pick it up out of the ashes and take care of it via the government. That's what it was all about. That's what it's all about, folks. So Obama's not exactly upset that there are these rate hikes. Trust me on this, he's not. He can see it too. He can see, well, yeah. There a lot of people aren't going to be able to get to be able to afford these new rates. And I'll be able to come in and say, see, this is why we need a single payer system here in the United States. Look, this is where it's headed. They've forecasted this. They've foreshadowed this. They've told us point blank that they've even voted for it already in a state. They want single payer, whether you want it or not, because they want control of healthcare. Because if they have control of healthcare, they have control of a lot. If they have control over healthcare, they get to control you about the way you live, the way you eat, the way you dress. Probably they'll come up with all kinds of rules and regulations that you're going to have to follow if you want healthcare coverage. They're not going to make exceptions for you, plain and simple, because they want to take it. They want to take your life over. So there's not going to be a waiver. When it comes time to single payer system, there isn't going to be a waiver. Folks, I'm telling you, you better wake up. You better start pressing your senators and representatives to repeal this crap, to defund this crap, because it's going to drain your wallet. It's going to drain it big time. You're going to be worse off, not better. We're already seeing some people are worse off. Some people are paying much higher deductibles. They're paying higher premiums. They're getting less coverage. Fewer hospitals and doctors available to them. This is no joke anymore, really. And the insurance companies are telling us, hey, look, this is not as great as we thought it was going to be. In fact, it's a lot worse. We kind of assumed that, it was going to make things more affordable. People would be happy with the coverage that they get, knowing that they have coverage should something go wrong. So they wouldn't be going to the doctor for the sniffles. Instead, it was just the opposite. Because people were saying, well, geez, maybe I've been told all my life I should try to catch diseases like cancer early. So something's wrong with me. I don't know. And now I got insurance. I better go check it out. That's what it's all about. Because people that haven't regularly used the system before are now saying, well, have had this problem before and this problem before, and now I can afford to go. So we're going to use the system. And they're not going to stop, folks. This is going to continue. And as more people join the exchange, and as more people are forced to get on the exchange, more people are going to be going to the doctor. There are going to be fewer doctors in order to see all these patients. And so the whole cost of the system is going to continue to skyrocket. You can mark this day down so that in 2 years from now, when we're looking again at this stuff and we see that there's another 60% increase or what have you, I can say again, look, I told you so, and you'll know exactly where to go in order to get the details on I told you so. Because, 4 or 5 years ago, I told you so, and today, guess what? I'm right. And so another 2 or 3 or, I don't think it's going to take 4 or 5 years again. I'll be able to say I told you so again. Plain and simple, folks. That's the way it works. Well, I'm out of time. We'll be back here tomorrow with Colonel Alan West. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.